Hey, welcome to a Simply Yoga Snack. Today we're going to be working towards Half Moon Pose, Ardha Chandrasana. It's a standing balance. It's one of my favorites because it's a wide open pose. We get to stretch our limbs in all directions, but we're going to do some preparation for that first. So let's start on our hands and knees. Come to a tabletop shape, and we're going to work with movement of the spine to open up our breath to a deeper rhythm. So with your fingertips firmly pressed down into the mat. As you breathe in, tip your pelvis forward, bring your chest forward, your gaze forward, and when you breathe out, lift up through the middle of your back and round your spine. And then when you move back into the inhale, it's a slow stretch of the front body, and the exhale, a slow stretch of the back body. Okay, keep moving at your own pace, a few more. You've breathed out next time, come back to a neutral spine. Now take your knees a little wider, toes towards each other. Sit back to child's pose. And as your hands move forward, if they can move forward a little further, let's create a side body stretch. So walk both of your hands off to the right. Place your left hand off to the right, and then slowly melt your chest down. And as your head approaches the mat, if it doesn't come down comfortably, take your right fist underneath your forehead. And allow the back of your heart to move down towards the mat. So it's a side body stretch, but also a bit of a shoulder opener. Take one more smooth breath in. And a full breath out. And lift your head and walk your hands across your mat over to the left. Reach out through your right hand. Settle your chest down. Your head can come down or onto your left fist. And ease the backs of your shoulder blades into the back of your rib cage, down towards the mat. One more slow breath. And a long exhale. Okay, and lift your head. Bring yourself back up to your hands and your knees. We'll come to downward facing dog. So walk both of your hands ahead of your shoulders. Your arms already have the downward slope of down dog. And curl your toes under. Lift your knees up and then bring your hips up and back away from your hands. This sensation moves into the backs of your legs. You can ease into it slowly, pedaling your heels one at a time. Warming up your feet, your Achilles, your calf muscles. Then come towards stillness and downward facing dog. And press down through the pads of your fingers. The next time you breathe in, float your right leg up, three-legged dog. And step your right foot forward up to your right hand. Now rest your left knee on the mat, or you can place a soft block underneath your knee. And then lift your upper body and bring your arms up. Just take a moment to settle down into the lunge. Keep your legs steady by hugging your right hip back and drawing your left hip forward. And then we're going to take a side body stretch. So reach up through the top of your head, bring your hips slightly to the left, and then reach your torso towards the right, kind of like you did in child's pose. Try to keep your breath steady. Back upright. When you exhale, lean forward and bring your hands down to the ground. Now pull your right foot back, draw it all the way back until you can press your heel off the back of your mat, and move your left hand wider to the left. Also lift up your left foot, take it just slightly wider to the left as well, and then turn your torso, turn your pelvis off to the right, and then lengthen back through your right heel, forward towards the crown of your head. Roll your shoulders back and then extend your right arm up. So this is rather like a kneeling form of half moon pose. So your gaze could be towards the ground or sideways or even peeked up towards your right hand. Next time you breathe out, look Look down and then bring your right hand down, right foot down. Let's step back, downward facing dog. Lift your hips up and back behind you. And smooth your shoulder blades down your back. Now, ride the wave of your next inhale to come forward into plank pose. So as you move forward, roll your shoulders back. Your knees can stay lifted or bring your knees down to the mat. You're really looking for somewhere that you can still breathe, but you can feel the effort of the pose. So lift up through the back edges of your ears. Keep your collarbones broad. And when you breathe out next time, slowly bend your elbows and bring your front body down to the mat. Untuck your toes, straighten out your legs, and then press down through the front of your pelvis. Lift up through your chest. Lift up through the tips of your ears. Cobra pose, Bhujangasana. And even though you're stretching out your front body, try to lift from your belly button back towards your spine. So you're protecting your back. Breathe out, ease your way down, curl your toes under, press back, downward facing dog. When you meet down dog, lift your left leg up. Step your left foot forward, up to your left hand. Bring your right knee down, it can be the mat or a soft block, and then lift your upper body. You're coming up to a low lunge. Again, ease into the lunge, settle your hips down, hug your left hip back, your right hip forward. As you gather your strength and then channel it up through your spine, the top of your head. And let's create a little lean, this time to the left. So floating up through your fingertips and just a soft curve through your spine. Kind of like a crescent moon. One more breath. As you breathe in, come back upright. As you breathe out, lean forward, bring your hands down. Now pull your left foot back, extend your heel off the back of your mat. Move your right hand wider to the right, your right toes a little wider to the right, and then turn your body towards the left. Push back through your left heel, lengthen towards the front of your mat through the top of your head. Again, roll your shoulders back, so there's your upper back in the pose, and then reach up through your top hand. Your gaze can be more to the ground for balance. It could be sideways, just like your chest, or up towards your left thumb. As you breathe out, look down, bring your left hand down, your left toes down. Let's move back, downward facing dog. Lift your hips up and back behind you. Again, with a slow inhale, come forward into plank pose. As you roll forward, move your shoulders back. Your knees can be up or down. Just make sure that you can still breathe. Lift from your belly button towards your spine. Keep your head afloat. And when you breathe out next time, bend your elbows and slowly lower down. Untuck your toes. Again, straight legs for cobra. You can lift your chest a little or lift it up more. And try to keep your upper back in the pose by hugging your upper arms in towards each other and draw the pointy parts of your elbows down towards your heels. Use your core strength so your belly button lifts up towards your spine. And then the next time you breathe out, bring yourself back down. Let's push away from the ground and come up, downward facing dog. Okay. Now back to your right leg, float your right leg up. And step your right foot forward in between your hands. Spin your left heel flat and rise up to warrior two. So you'll be facing the long left side of your mat. And as you come upright, open your arms out into a T. Maybe there's room to even lengthen out your stride. And bring your right knee over your right heel. Look down to your inner right knee and try to turn your right knee forward and hug your right hip back. And then roll your left shoulder back so your chest is open wide towards the side. And your gaze can be sideways, like your chest is facing, or turned over your right hand. So warrior two is a nice steady pose. Feel the soles of your feet firm to the mat. Your breath deep and strong. push your feet down firmly. Slowly straighten out your right leg. Turn your left big toe just a little ahead of your left heel, and then start to hug your hips towards the back of your mat and reach your right hand off to the front of your mat. Trikonasana triangle pose. Bring your right hand down. Now that can be your hand to your inner thigh, inner calf, or a block. For some of you, reaching to the ground may be possible too. And push down through your right hand to help lengthen the right side of your upper body. So that's the underside, which will tend to curve with gravity. As you hug your right hip back, lengthen the center of your chest forward, the crown of your head forward, and open your left arm wide. So this pose offers a distinct inner thigh stretch on your right leg, but it's also a core stabilizer, and we can make that a little more so by hugging your inner thighs in, lift your belly button towards your spine, and that make your right hand even just slightly lighter. You can sample what that's like. Or not, if you choose. Okay, make sure you are breathing. Bring your left hand to your left hip, look down to the ground, bend your right knee. Now place your hands on each side of your right foot. Let's step back, downward facing dog. Okay, we're gonna simply take that to the other side. So as you inhale, float your left leg up. And as you exhale, step your left foot forward between your hands. Take your right heel flat to the ground and rise up to warrior two. So this time facing towards the long right side of your mat. And if you come up, if it feels reasonable to open your stride longer, then go ahead. Take your arms open into a T. And just as before, look to your inner right knee and try to open your inner knee towards the, that's your left knee, isn't it? Look down to your inner left knee and open your left knee towards the left. So you're rotating strongly from your left thigh bone, and then roll your right shoulder back. Your gaze can be as your chest is facing or turned over your left hand. Keep the soles of your feet firm. Even your arms open wide this way are helping you to balance well, so your breath can be deep, powerful. And then straighten out your left leg. Bring your right big toe slightly ahead of your right heel. Now this will turn your pelvis towards the front of your mat just by a few degrees. Draw your hips towards the back of your mat, but your left hand towards the front of your mat. So you reach long and then bring your left hand down. So that may be at your inner thigh, inner calf, a block, or the ground. A surface you can push into to help lengthen the left side of your upper body. And that's assisted by hugging your left hip back. So you move from a curved shape into a longer shape and take your right arm open wide. Another chance to use your upper back, so slide your shoulder blades down your back and try to keep your neck long on all sides. Sometimes gravity will weigh down on our head and we end up with a curved cervical spine, so try to lengthen out. And you're still breathing, feeling the process of the pose. Bring your right hand to your right hip, look down, bend your left knee, ease your hands on each side of your left foot, and then step back, downward facing dog, and bring your hips up and back. Okay, now the next time you breathe in, lift your heels up higher. And when you breathe out, bend your knees and look forward. Take a couple steps or a soft hop up to the front of your mat, and come up to a halfway lift. And then as you exhale, bow in towards your legs. Then let's rise to stand. Take your time to come up. And then as you breathe out, soften your arms by your sides. Okay. We're going to do one preparation for half moon pose, and then we'll come into the full pose itself. The preparation is going to be from standing, from mountain pose. Bring your hands to your heart. Shift your weight onto your right foot. Turn your left foot out. Not quite 90 degrees. It's really how far can you turn your foot out without rolling your left hip back. So try to keep your hips facing towards the front of the room, but a good out turn of your left foot. This is about as far as we're going to try to turn it in this variation of the pose. Okay, now start to move the outer edge of your left foot back, and as you do so, lean your upper body forward. And so we're starting to recognize the ability of our left leg to turn itself out and also getting a little more acclimatized to being on your right leg. Now, one more thing to add, let's try to turn our chest open to the left. So now you're transferring the leg you're rotating from the left one over to the right one. Okay, don't worry if you need to touch your left foot down. Okay, and then lift your upper body and slowly bring your left foot down by your right foot. And let's just keep our hands at our heart. Feel the soles of your feet firm. Okay, now the other way, shift your weight onto your left foot. Turn your right toes out, just see where is that limit that your hips are square to the front for the time being. And then shift your weight to your left foot completely and take the outer edge of your right foot back. So as it moves back, tip your upper body forward. You're keeping a consistent line between your left leg and your upper body. Now, gradually turn your chest open towards the right. And so you're actually turning in your left hip, your standing hip. And don't worry if you need to touch down. And then come back upright, set both feet to the ground, bring your arms by your sides. Okay, I'm gonna guide with blocks, but you can certainly use the ground if you prefer. We're going to come into the full pose now. You can pause anywhere along the way that it feels best in your body. So starting from mountain pose, starting with an inhale, sweep your arms up. And as you breathe out, fold forward from your hips. Place your hands on blocks or on the ground, and then walk your hands just ahead of your shoulders. Shift your weight into your right foot, lift from your belly button towards your spine, and then start to move your left leg back and lift your left leg up towards hip height. So far, kind of like Warrior 3, but let's change that. Take your right hand a little wider to the right, and then begin to lift your left hip higher than your right one. And you can keep your right hand really firm, but maybe your left fingertips come to the ground. Roll your right hip back, roll your right shoulder back. Now, decision time, both hands can stay down, or if you're comfortable, lift your left hand up. Now your hand can come up to your hip. If you feel okay to lift your hand up higher, then you can stretch your fingertips up towards the ceiling. And really firmly push back through your left heel and lengthen forward through the top of your head. Ardha Chandrasana, half moon pose. Okay. Now to come away from the pose, look down. Bring your left hand down, block or the ground, and then ease your left foot down by your right foot and just pedal out your knees a couple times before we take the second side. Now, blocks can be wonderful tools to give your hamstrings space, but they are a little tippier than the ground. I know I have a preference for the ground, so that's how I'll work on my weaker side, my left side. Okay, bring your hands just ahead of your shoulders. And then shift your weight into your left foot, sweep your right heel back. So now you're on one leg, you're standing on your left leg. Move your left hand just a little wider to the left so you can put a bit more weight into your left hand. And turn your right toes open to the right, lift your right hip higher than your left one. Now you can keep your right hand on the ground, maybe it's just your fingertips on the ground helping you out with balance, or lift your right hand up to your right hip. Now roll your left hip back, roll your left shoulder back so you're nice and long through the bottom side of your upper body. And if you feel comfortable, turn your chest sideways and reach up through your left hand. Try to keep your right foot flexed and reach out through the top of your head. And then close down the pose. Look down, bring your right hand down. Again, blocks or the ground. Put some weight into your hands so you can lower your right foot. Again, just a very gentle forward fold. Okay, now moving with the breath, take an inhale, a halfway lift. Maybe your hands come to your shins. And as you exhale, fold, bring your hands down, downward facing dog. So step your feet back and lift your hips up and back. As you breathe in, slowly roll forward into plank pose. And as you exhale, lower right down to the ground. And then let's come onto our back. So just take a roll over, right onto your back. And then center yourself on your mat. Bring the soles of your feet flat to the ground. Okay, we've rotated our hips a lot. That takes some effort, and we're going to stretch out that effort in figure 4 pose. So lift your right foot up and bring the outer edge of your right foot to your left thigh. Move your right knee open towards the right. You're most welcome to keep your left foot on the ground or lift your left foot up and bring your legs closer in towards your chest. As your legs come closer, if you wish, you can use your hands around the back of your left leg or the front of your left shin bone. And then press your right knee away from your right shoulder. You can even use your right hand to your inner right knee to press it away. Let's take a few steady breaths. And then let go of your left leg and bring your feet down to the mat, and we'll trade sides. So this time lift your left foot up, cross your outer foot to your right thigh, turn your left knee to the left. And this may be more than enough sensation. Feel free to stay right here. If there's room to move into a little more sensation, lift your right foot up and bring your legs closer to you with your left knee turned away from your left shoulder. And your hands may be helpful to keep your right leg up, so that could come around the back of your right thigh, possibly the front of your right shin. And you can even use your left hand to press into your left inner knee, inner thigh, to help turn your thigh bone open and stretch open the back of your hip a little more. A few more slow, steady breaths. Go of your legs, bring the soles of your feet to the ground. Just open your arms a little wider to the side, rock your knees a couple times side to side. And this will steer us into Shavasana. So stretch out your legs, bring your heels towards the edges of your mat, and draw your shoulder blades underneath you so you can be wide open across your chest and collarbones. Choose a resting place for the backs of your hands. And then soften your jaw, all the muscles of your face. Let's take a deep inhale in through the nose. Open your mouth, exhale. Your breath in a bit deeper. Begin to move your hands and your feet. Spread your fingers apart from each other, curl them in, and same with your toes. Then bring your right arm overhead by your ear, place the soles of your feet to the mat, and then roll over to your right side. Move through fetal pose. Take your time to lift your upper body. And then come to face forwards. Find a moment of stillness in your body in a comfortable seat. And lengthen up through your spine. Bring your palms together at heart center. Thank you for your practice. Thank you. Namaste. Thank you.